This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boneyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's your choice. Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Come to our cruise-ins this summer on the second Tuesday of the month, June through September. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area. We offer a senior citizen and veteran discount. Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs, and they even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present you the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. This episode, folks, I'm going to have former Jefferson County Ambulance Director Brian Thomas on. And Brian, he set a goal. His goal, and I'm just going to look and make sure I say it correctly, get my story out there. I want to set the record straight. I want justice, shine a light on the things going on here in the dark. And here is referring to Jefferson County. And Brian, back in June of 2024, hired a human resources consultant named Paul Groof. And lots of you viewers in Southeast Iowa and other parts of Iowa will be familiar with Paul. And basically, I want to start this out and share some of Paul's 20-page report. I'm not going to read all of it, but I am going to put the parts that I read to you on the screen. So we'll get started right now. August 1st, 2024, to Jefferson County Board of Supervisors regarding Brian Thomas employment. Background. On April 17, 2024, Brian Thomas met with Jefferson County Attorney Chauncey Molding and an individual who was introduced as an investigator. Through a Freedom of Information Act demand, it is believed that the investigator is John Thomas from Workforce Solutions. See attachment number 1. During this meeting, the investigator asked Brian if he was having an inappropriate relationship, to which Brian responded, no. The investigator then stated they knew he was having an inappropriate relationship and that Brian could choose the easy way or the hard way. It is understood that the easy way was to sign the resignation of employment and release agreement, see attachment number 2. The hard way was the threat of an investigation and that the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors had already approved his termination with a 2-1 vote. The resignation of employment and release agreement was already prepared prior to asking Brian a single question. This failure to adhere to any form of due process is concerning. Brian signed the resignation of employment and release agreement on April 17, 2024. Dee Sandquist, Jefferson County Board Chairperson, signed the resignation of employment and release agreement on April 17, 2024 under the, quote, for the employer, quote, unquote, section. It is important to note that Supervisor Sandquist does not have the power to enter into such an agreement until after the entire Board of Supervisors considers the document and votes to approve the document at an open board meeting. No such open meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors took place prior to Supervisor Sandquist signing the document, making the agreement invalid and unenforceable until approved by the full board. On April 24th, 2024, the Board of Supervisors agenda included the following item: accept resignation from ambulance director. This meeting can be viewed on YouTube. There's the link right there. At the 2-minute, 28-second mark of the video, the county attorney states he does have the option to revoke this agreement up till 4:30 today. It is my understanding that he doesn't intend to do so, but that is still his legal option. The Jefferson County Board of Supervisors voted to accept the resignation of employment and release agreement. So I could go further on this, but like I said, there's 20-some pages. But what I am going to do next is I am going to show you the video from the April 24th, 2024 Jefferson County Board of Supervisors meeting. I took it from their YouTube channel. You'll see in the bottom, it'll say Jefferson County Board of Supervisors and the date. So I'm showing you my sources. I've shown you my sources so far. We're going to get in the weeds here, folks. This is going to be a long podcast. The clips that I'm showing you started out as it was, let me make sure I say that right, 40 minutes and 31 seconds long. And I think I got it down to about 29 minutes. I think it's imperative that you watch this. You've got a little background here. We're going to watch this, and then we'll get to Brian and his side of this story. So I hope you got some water or some kind of beverage and maybe a little snack, because like I said, this is going to be a long one. And up next is the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors June 24th, 2024 meeting.
Agenda is to accept the resignation from the ambulance director.
I'm sorry. I have a letter here. Right out here. I have a letter here from Mr. Thomas indicating and requesting that the board accept his letter of resignation effective. Well, this was signed on the 17th. Also proposing a release agreement and resignation from Brian be adopted by the board. This was signed on the 17th of April. It essentially accepts his letter of resignation, the first document I handed out, and sets forth a number of conditions under which that resignation would be accepted. It also provides him a severance package to include health insurance and benefits through July 12th of 2024. He does have the option to revoke this agreement up till 4:30 today. It's my understanding he does not intend to do so, but that's still his legal option. So these are the documents and the resignation proposed to the board.
Right. Do we have any motion to accept the resignation?
So I think the board needs to consider Mr. Thomas's resignation and decide whether or not they want to accept it, reject it. Would suggest that if the board rejects it, would be an issue we'd have to call back Brian and renegotiate these terms. So I would recommend that we that the board accept it.
You know, Chauncey, I have several issues with this. Not with the resignation, but several other issues that gives me pause. Can I talk about that now?
Sure.
I'm concerned that we're paying somebody for 3 more months. I'm concerned that we're giving them their sick leave or vacation or whatever it is, when they don't keep track of it out there so far. I think Judy will change that. But it's very important that we take note of people's sick leave and vacation, so when they leave, we have a proper amount to give them. With that said, I will move to accept Brian's resignation.
Do we have a second?
You moved to accept the resignation on what terms?
What do you mean?
Well, you just expressed that you had some problems with it. Are you accepting it as it's?
Yeah, as it is, because I guess I was talking to Judy about this doesn't need to continue.
Oh, okay.
Did you understand that, Judy?
Okay, I'll second your motion. Do we have any discussion? Not all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Appoint interim ambulance director. And so that would be to appoint Judy Heisel as an interim ambulance director. The position will be posted as is proper procedure. I'm working on getting an updated job description, and I know that for her to do the interim position, it's only appropriate to pay her the salary that the director was receiving.
Why do you feel that way?
Because she's gonna be acting as the director for the interim period.
And what would the interim period be?
Usually those aren't specified by the time we get the job description posted.
We'll need to do the proper,
Yeah,
with hiring
yes,
procedure.
absolutely we will, but
It could take several months.
and I think then we need to note that. So there are no surprises for anybody. Because Judy would have a job to do. We can't have her being distracted by little things.
Any comments?
Well, I guess over the last however many months it's been, October, so 7 months, there's been a lot made about being admin heavy. And so I guess my question to you two is, are you viewing this as an opportunity to, shall we say, rectify your concerns?
I went out and had a good meeting with Judy yesterday.
With
She
who?
did- With Judy.
Okay.
She's got some thoughts and ideas on that, which we were gonna talk about on Monday, but
Okay. That's
just to
fine.
say, we would probably not have a base manager position, and she's looking at doing we don't have a title for the one person, but it's basically 2 lead people that help with training and doing some of their duties. So that other job description needs to be written and looked at, and I talked with Jack about that. And so that's not ready. That's the current thought, but it's not in a final form yet.
So my question is, if it was me, and I would presume to some extent, other folks that would be in this position would have some concerns about what their future is in terms of employment, to jump through all these hoops and to learn a new responsibilities and whatnot, only to find themselves out in the cold at the end of a specific period of time, whatever period of time that might be, whether it's 3 months, whether it's 6 months, you know, like you said, the hiring process. So,
Trying to be pessimistic, I don't think it will take that long.
well, okay, and that's fine, but my question is that if we eliminate one position and we eliminate an employee, are we not just promoting the other employee and does it need to go through a process?
And that's a good question, which is why the next item on the agenda is to discuss either having an audit or a consultant come in that is familiar, especially with public sector, because we know we've been in a private sector world until this past year.
Right.
And so I actually have talked to somebody who is in the process of getting a proposal, and I might even have that by Monday. So that's in the works. And based on the conversation, you know, he and I briefly talked about, well, maybe we wait a month, give them time to settle in, but maybe it's better to have them come down now to really help us assess what we need for a management structure. And that might behoove us to consider that. But again, that's been a phone conversation and I don't have any written. I'm supposed to get something today.
Well, I think if you're going to do that, and I don't know what that looks like, but if you're going to do that, you need to do that sooner than later before you determine whether or not you got to post anything. I mean, how do you go out and advertise for a position if you're bringing somebody in to try and determine what the positions are you need or don't need?
Well, in any event, there's going to need to be a director of the ambulance.
Right. Which I go back to my original question. You know, in that regard, if you're promoting within the organization, do you need to post it?
Well, I think that if there is a empty position as director of Jefferson County Ambulance, that's a public position we need to post and accept applications for, internal and external.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to make a motion that we appoint Judy Heisliner, ambulance director, at the salary that Brian was currently receiving for the interim period.
Effective.
Now,
Second.
any discussion?
Does this go for the term till hired or till July 12th?
I would say you'd have to redo your motion for.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question.
As your motion stands, it would be until you change it, so. You can draft your motion however you want, however your intention. I don't know that we would want an end date necessarily,
Okay.
but until that position is filled, definitely.
Okay. So I'll add to the motion till the position is filled.
Okay. We'll accept that.
Until it's filled, I think you're talking about two different things. The fact that it's on the agenda to appoint an interim director has nothing about the next question, which is would you get an efficiency expert in to possibly fill that position? Well, but help with the process.
I think the motion is to appoint Cutie, the interim director, until the director is filled by a full-time director.
Then you don't want to give yourself an end date with that?
You can.
You know, I don't feel, and Judy, no disrespect, I think that's a hell of a jump in money. I'm not sure I agree with giving her what Brian had gotten.
Yeah, what's his salary? 85,000.
85,000. I believe Judy makes, is it okay if I say? 65,000. Although I know there are going to be tremendous pressure many extra things, but I think each day that Judy goes by, I hope it gets better, you know, with your guidance. But I do think that, I mean, we didn't give a lot of raises in this county. We've got to think about that. I just think it's a lot right now.
I know if you look at other public ambulance services, it's on the low end. I don't know, I'm open. What do you think, thoughts?
Well, I'm confused. See, is it the open-endedness, or is it?
It's both.
Well, I don't know how you cannot be open-ended until you, because you have to. I mean, when you say, okay, so we set an end date and we'll say, next Thursday at 4 o'clock. And so at that point, then she's no longer the interim, but we don't have anything. So, I mean, it has to be open-ended in terms of if you're going to have an interim until the position is filled.
You know, to qualify that, Lee, I would just say, the way you're saying it, I agree with that. But just 4 months, 6 months.
You want to set something on the agenda for 4 months after reconsider and establish where we are in the process.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine.
You do have a couple comments on Zoom. I'll make note of that.
Oh, okay.
Shall we look at those comments?
I don't know if we can get.
How did you know that?
How do we get
I
them?
got 2 texts about it.
Oh.
I don't know that we have a way to look at comments.
It's called the 21st century.
Okay, yeah. I need some of your vodka.
So is the floor open to comments then?
No, I mean, I think we should stick to the discussion.
D, if you take those comments, you should ask the podium.
Yeah,
Yeah, the gallery needs to be asked too.
yeah, I think. Stick with the discussion. We've got a motion and
Well, I think I'll strike my motion because she has some concerns about the salary. Obviously, we had a discussion about setting a date to come back and at least revisit to see where we're at in the process. So, we'll just have that conversation and that discussion and see where it leads at this point.
okay, so just to recap. We need to, if we're gonna have a service, have an interim director. So, we need to pay that person. So what are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything at this point because I made the motion to go with, but Susie has some concerns, and so I think that needs to be addressed before we move forward.
Can we hear what the public thinks at this point?
The comments are not related to this particular topic as far as the salary. Chauncey, you might want to look at the comments.
I'm just here to advise you guys.
What about comments from the room? I would like to hear what they have to say before further.
I think if you do open the room up to comments, though, you do have to look at any of them that are on the online as well, because it's kind of the same thing.
Okay. I think that we should stick to the meeting as scheduled and appoint the interim ambulance director if we want to have a service. So I guess, so you withdrew your motion?
Because like I said, Susie's got some concerns, so I think we need to, and I think we've addressed one of them. We need to hear what she thinks. Are you saying that you think the salary line needs to stay the same?
My concern initially is the fact that we didn't give raises to anybody. And although we're in a little bit different situation now, I'd like to know what the public thinks. You know, because this is the first time we've had able to sit down and find out many things. Because we haven't sat as the three of us and visited, and I think that's not good.
Well, I think that what we need to do is keep on the agenda as,
How's that transparency then? When it's gonna be any time for the public to talk, because on the agendas, it says specifically that people, you only talk about agenda items. If you don't put anything on there for public comment, when can the public talk to them? Because you're not gonna have this going forward on the agendas. Plus you're talking about salary and it doesn't say anything on salary there on your agenda. That's one point.
what do you want to talk salary on Monday? I don't know. We need to have an interim director. Can we do it Monday?
Yeah. You
Take
can,
comments today.
you mean appoint an interim director on Monday? Essentially, I mean, I think the way that chain of command works, I mean, the director's gone, the number two is operating as Judy, you're in charge, right? So, I mean, you can titularly appoint whenever you want, but as long as somebody needs to be running the show.
Yeah.
Well, I think to Tom's point, I do feel like that I'm not trying to be critical here, but it does feel somewhat disjointed. I don't know if that's the proper term. I understand that. I guess I understand what Chauncey said about the second in command steps up. If the second in command wants to step up to the position, which she has stepped up and has taken over at this point in time, does the second in command have all of the rights and responsibilities of the previous director? Okay, well, in other words, what I'm saying is that if we're going to throw the person into the fire, all right, then my question is, does that individual, whomever it happens to be, you know, if it was Bart, so does he have all the rights and responsibilities
Right.
of the director of operations?
That's the intent. I mean, that's
Okay.
typically what happens. That's what's happened with other counties when they appoint an interim director to do.
You can just make the salary retroactive. It's not on the agenda, put it on the agenda for
Sure.
Monday. If you guys decide to
We
make
can
it
do that.
retroactive to today, make it retroactive to today.
Yeah, exactly.
Problem solved. Let's move on with our lives.
But I think we need to, you said you're gonna do a job description, which I understand. I think that the person that's doing this needs to know
What the job description is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the rights and responsibilities of the director of operation. I don't know that you need to go a little more generic than that, I mean, any more detailed than that.
And what?
And saying that the interim director has all the rights and responsibilities of a director of operations.
And I think what you're alluding to is reporting requirements to the state as far as, I mean, we need to have somebody on the top of the letterhead, so to speak.
Right, director of personnel.
Right.
Okay.
Question before the board is, do you want to appoint Judy the interim director?
Right.
It would make sense.
That'd be kind of redundant. She's already doing it. You know,
I think it would just kind of make it official.
I think they need to have it for the state certification or the accreditation.
When the
You guys are gonna have
directors,
Medicare and Medicaid changes that have to be made.
Yeah,
That she's gonna have to sign off on as the interim director. Doesn't matter if she's getting paid more or not. You
right.
don't mess with the feds when it comes to
Right.
reimbursement, so she's gonna have a lot of work to do.
And she's gonna have to get her MPI number for billing and all that.
I'm trying to help you, but I
No,
can't help you if I'm sequestered over here in the corner.
Now,
So,
yeah, let's
the
go
good news
around
being-
and take comments. Who has a public comment you wanna make? Tom,
I would make one.
wait a minute, Tom had one.
Go ahead,
I would actually, we need an interim director. Yeah, Judy's the obvious person for that. I would say we go ahead and appoint her, and then if you add the salary to your meeting on Monday, you make it retroactive, as Mark said. Because acting without a director is probably not what we want to do as a county.
can't.
It's actually illegal
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it needs to be taken care of
today.
here.
Yep.
That's
Any
what-
other public comments?
Yeah, I would just ask if this is the process moving forward, that if you have a different department, that you're gonna have to follow the same process that you're following with this ambulance situation. And that if you're looking at additional funding for the interim director, that it's across the board the same for any other department and not just this department's gonna get that treatment versus another department. The process has to be the same whether you're elected or appointed. And there's certain rights and responsibilities that come with being the director of public health, the ambulance
Right.
treasurer. And when you are receiving Medicare and Medicaid funding and you're dealing with state contracts and people's lives, you have to have it together.
I know in the HR world, that's normal operating
Read your
procedure. If
statutes.
somebody
Statutes
takes
is
on a temporary,
If an elected official, when an elected vacancy happens and somebody is brought into that spot, they automatically assume that salary and
Yeah.
it's go with it.
Yeah.
So your precedent that you're asking to be set is just straight up for hired or appointed positions.
I stand corrected, thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
I'm just making the comment for every other department that functions as a non-elected official, which there's several of us.
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we appoint Judy Heisel as the interim director. And place on Monday's agenda to discuss salary and hiring a consultant or an auditor, whatever term you want to use, to look at the structure. And at that time, I don't know if you want to set a specific time frame as far as having the search done or not done, or whatever the case may be, but that can be on the agenda as well, and then that's all done on Monday.
Maybe for a period of X amount. That
I
could
mean,
be
yeah, that could
modified,
be
it
discussed,
could be
but
extended.
it needs, yes, so that will be on the agenda for Monday.
I hate to put a wrench in the works, but
Okay.
because we did public comment in the room, I think we, just to cover our open records and open
Right.
meetings, we should read whatever comments were made on.
I think the comments need to be said on people on Zoom, they can mute.
So we just ask
That's
anybody
what we do
if they want to
normally.
make a comment.
Not every computer has a microphone, so that would make it impossible for some people to be able to comment.
Can you post them up on the screen?
You just saw somebody commented and it went across the bottom right portion of the screen there. I mean, I'm just saying that because whenever I watch from my
Yeah,
office,
but I don't know.
I don't have a
it.
microphone.
Abby?
We like
Any other comments in the room?
It seems like there's been a lot going on for the last few weeks. I've heard, so has there been any meetings or anything that haven't been posted at all or anything?
No. This is the first time we've discussed this.
I guess that's new information, to everybody. Just on that, did the county have to hire a private investigator at all?
Chauncey has a budget item where he has investigations in your budget. That's a line item.
I hired a guy to have an internal investigation.
You can see them all.
On who makes the decision to hire? Or
To hire him?
Yeah.
I made that call.
Wow. But
It doesn't show all of them. I just have to do that. We have problems.
any other comments in the room or on Zoom? No.
Yeah.
All right. So,
I have one.
I don't like anonymous comments myself.
right, that's the blessing and challenge.
I don't have a
of
comment,
Zoom. Yeah,
but I have a question.
Yeah.
And Dane and Judy, with the situation that just happened, are we covered on trucks?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we can still run 3 trucks.
to me, that's way more important than whatever we got going on
Right,
today.
right.
That's what, yeah, no, we can still run 3 trucks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
okay. Any other public comments? All right, we have a motion. I'll second it.
Repeat the motion.
Just We appoint Judy Heisel as the interim director to be placed on Monday's agenda with further discussion and consideration, salary range or salary change, whatever, if any. Set a timeframe, so we say 4 months to revisit as far as
So,
job posting or whatever.
just to keep the motion simple, I think the motion is to appoint Judy interim director with a review period set 4 months out.
Okay,
And we don't have to have in the motion that we'll set for salary considerations Monday, we'll just set that on the agenda.
okay.
So 4 months out would be late July or late August. So
If the position isn't filled by
if it's
then.
not filled, so we'll put that on the 26th.
Is it 26?
August.
Oh,
Okay, we got a motion and a second, any more
Say.
discussion,
I'll come back on Friday, but I get it now.
all in favor? Aye.
we're slow.
Yeah, well,
Nearly.
I get that, but we don't want to get in a hurry because we would outrun having, and that's not.
Do we have any nays?
As promised, Brian Thomas's side of the story. Brian, thank you so much for inviting me into your home this morning.
Thank you for being here.
You're quite welcome. And there's a lot. The viewers have already seen some video from the April 24th, 2024 Jefferson County, Iowa Board of Supervisors meeting. They've seen
Right.
clips of that transcript. So now we're here. I want to ask you one question to start things
Sure.
off.
Sure.
What is your goal by being on my podcast?
Well, I was hoping it would be under different circumstances to praise the way the ambulance was going and the people that we were helping in Jefferson County. That's the reason I moved out here, was to help people and bring something to this population, the rural population, if you will, something that big city people are privy to all the time. Unfortunately, I'm in the position that I'm in for circumstances I could not predict, if you will. To answer your question honestly, would be to get my story out there. There was a lot of questions on. I moved here. I bought a house. I became part of the community. Why, somebody that bought a house in the community to be here, be amongst them, and having what happened when it did brought a lot of questions. Okay, there's been a lot of allegations out there. I want to set the record straight. I want justice, basically. First and foremost, my military experience and what I've been through in my life, and seeing people oppressed, if you will, or things going on in the dark that probably shouldn't be going on, and shining a light on that is my goal here.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
And also, thank you for your service to our country.
Yes, sir.
Anytime I meet a veteran, I always thank them for their service,
No.
and I want to thank you for your service.
My pleasure, and the memories are nice, and what I did, I would do it all over again if I could.
All
Right?
Well, very good. Well, now that we have that established,
Yes.
I'm going to kind of let you steer. You're going to kind of start to steer the ship, but every once in a while, I'm going to, if we get a little off keel or off course,
Sure.
I might say, okay, let's move on to this or that, because you've got a lot here that you're going to put out for people
I
to
do.
see and hear.
There's a lot.
Where do you want to start?
Well, it's always appropriate to start at the beginning.
Let's
And
go.
So, well, April the 17th, 2023, I was hired as the Jefferson County Ambulance Director. Jefferson County did not have an ambulance at that time. County run ambulance. CARE had run that. And CARE's contract was coming to an end on midnight 01 on October 1st, 2023. My job was to come in and put the policies, protocols, staff, everything pretty much together on my own and get this thing up and running and be ready to answer that 911 call. As I promised the people of Jefferson County, when you call, we'll be there. And I don't break promises, okay? So that's the thing.
And who hired you?
The Jefferson County Board of Supervisors by a vote of 3-0. And
name the names of the supervisors that.
At that time, it was Supervisor Susie Drish, Lee Dimmitt, and Dee Sanquest. At that time, Susie Drish was the chairperson for the Board of Supervisors. And I have this here. So.
And is that what you just have there in your hand? What is that?
This is a contract of my employment when I started.
And I'm turning the camera just a little bit I'm telling the audience that because right now I'm popping this document that you're reading. I'm popping it on the screen so they can see it.
This document is just an employee agreement between me and the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors of what I will be doing, my rate of pay, and when I started. The agreement was signed on 4/17/23, signed by myself, Susie Drish, and the date, of course, is April 24th, but they backdated it until the 17th. The second page is a motion moved by Drish, seconded by Lee Dimmitt, that the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County approved the hiring of Brian Thomas as Ambulance Director of Operations, pending pre-employment paperwork effective April 19, 2023, and my salary and signed by all three.
Okay, very good. So, folks, you saw that, and the folks that are listening, you heard it.
Since I was hired, my job, as stated earlier, was to put policies together, hire effective employees, and definitely hire somebody that could be my right-hand person. Shortly thereafter that, I hired Judy Heisel as my base manager. She was the base manager for CARE Ambulance in Fairfield. She had worked underneath me when I was the director for CARE Ambulance there for a while. I had to leave because my mom had cancer, and I had to move back to Texas to take care of her. And then recently moved back about 2.5 years ago up here. When I hired Judy, Judy was instrumental, if you will, because she had been here forever. She knew all the people here. We were fully staffed, which is very hard to do for a new ambulance service. We were fully staffed by the end of September with paramedics. We had 25, 26 people, including ourselves.
Wow.
And
now, were they part-time employees, or how did that work?
We had 2 full-time crews, 2 24-hour crews, 2 EMTs, and 2 paramedics on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. We would fill those in with part-time people and PRN people. And Judy and I, being both paramedics, would oftentimes ride the trucks in order to fill in properly. And that was a matter of keeping overtime at a low. Being a new ambulance service, funding is capped, whatever. So we wanted to keep our expenses down. So her and I, between office and truck duties, sometimes we would do 60 to 80 hours a week.
Wow.
Which is, and that's just coming off of all that work, leading up to the ambulance service, you know, getting inspected and hiring people and putting them through a training program, getting a medical director, policies.
So what you just described all took place within 2 or 3 months of being hired?
Yes, sir. Once I was hired in April, I hired Judy at the beginning of June. So you're looking at, yeah, about 3 months.
So in that 3 months time, I'm guessing that the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors, 1, 2, or 3 of them would check in on you relatively from time to time, and were they pleased with your work?
They would not come by
Okay.
as often. I would oftentimes get, well, y'all look busy. You have other people there. Most of the time I'd get either emails or, unfortunately, a lot of them would circumvent me, specifically DSanquest circumvented me an awful lot to get in contact with the state.
For what reason? What would you need to contact the state for?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if it was a trust issue, and I don't know how we got there.
So you had trouble in the first 3 months?
Pretty
with
much, yes,
Mhm.
pretty much. And
What about with Susie and Lee?
Susie, we had a great relationship up until we got in an argument, if you will, that occurred in July.
What was the argument about?
Well, I had, being from a larger city and being military.
You tell people where you're from?
I'm from Houston, Texas, just north of Houston.
Okay.
My moving to a small town, you know, it's like night and day, you know, coming from a city of, 5 million people.
And you can see when you live in a small town, there's a reason people do.
Oh, hey, amen.
Lots of reasons.
4 seasons, no traffic ever. And when I first came up here to Iowa back in 2020, when was it? I guess 2021, when I was with CARE, I'd never been outside of Texas, really.
Except when you were on your tours of duty in Iraq and other parts of the world.
My homes were Humble, Texas, which is next to Houston. I was close to the airport, and either Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Kuwait, Iran, Africa. Those are my homes.
Mm-hmm.
So moving to Iowa, when we first came up here to check out CARE at that time, getting off the airplane, people go, "Oh, hey, Mr. Thomas." Wow, they know my name, right?
You're somebody here.
Who would have thought? You know, that really got to me because it was personable, it was friendly, and I love that. I love the personability. I love the calmness. So, back to your question, I didn't realize I didn't realize at the time how small town governments work. Okay, so I had asked Susie Drish, I believe it was sometime in July, as we were getting closer and closer to opening up, we needed more and more help. There was only so many things that Judy and I could do, policy-wise, ambulance-wise. There was not a duplicity machine for us.
And let's remind the audience, you were starting from scratch.
We had nothing. Except for whatever documents and experience that Judy had.
But you had no ambulance vehicles?
No.
So you basically had an empty building.
We had an empty building. The bank building at 1900 West Burlington was going to be the ambulance base. It was an old bank building. It was being converted into an ambulance base. And Judy and I, along with the supervisors and the construction company, helped make plans to convert that into an ambulance building. In the meantime, we were under the impression we could stay in the ambulance building during construction, which would alleviate a lot of moving on our part. We could not, so we ended up moving to the basement of the courthouse as stepchildren. So, we worked out of the basement of the courthouse in one room. Yeah.
Where were the ambulances parked?
Well, at that time we didn't have the ambulances.
Okay, so this was in the setup stage.
That's correct. I guess under a contract between Jefferson County and Care Ambulance, because Care was still running 911 for the Jefferson County at that time. And so we had to get the ambulances back within a certain amount of time in order to get them inspected by the state. And we weren't going to get those back till 72 hours before we even opened.
Wow.
And wow, indeed.
How many vehicles would that have been?
It was 2 initially, and then we had to get Libertyville was gracious enough to lend us their vehicle. It was a rescue vehicle, which helped us out. It enabled Judy, I, or one of the other people to jump on the truck as a third hand to meet somebody somewhere and stuff like that. So it was.
So let's get back to what. So
Sure.
What was the thing that the conflict?
Well, I had talked to Susie after one of the board meetings, and I had asked her if there was 3 individuals I wanted to put in front of the board. I wasn't aware of the process. Yes, sir. Okay. And I met with her afterwards. I sat down with her and I said, I'm not privy to this, So as the board chairperson, I need to do this. Let me know how I do it. Okay. So she told me I could.
So you're following the chain of command.
That is correct. That is correct. And I went to the auditor's office with the 3 people I wanted to present. After I presented it, I walked by, she was still in the supervisor's office, and I said, I got it done. She goes, okay. Not even 24 hours later, Judy and I were at one of the schools looking for equipment for the ambulance base, again, to keep their costs low. Any donated equipment or things like that.
What kind of equipment would you get from a school?
Refrigerators,
okay.
Maybe some lockers.
Okay, gotcha.
Things like that. Mm-hmm. Our budget for new furniture was not very much, so we had to kind of,
gotcha.
Keep everything.
So you're
low.
trying to help the taxpayers keep the costs lower.
Well, exactly. I wanted to be a positive, not a negative, and going, oh my God, these people are costing me so much money, But I got a call from Susie Drish, and she was quite upset with me about why I had put 3 people in front of, or submitted 3 people from the board. She said that she told me not to do it. Being a military guy.
I mean, that's pretty hard. I mean, not do it or do it, that's pretty easy that's not easy to confuse.
No, it's not. And I guess I've never run into that, except maybe in the military. And you only do it once, right?
Yeah, there you go.
But here I was, it caught me off guard because not even 24 hours earlier, she had said that I could. Undeniable.
At that point, a guy's questioning his hearing. You're like, did I really get this wrong?
I know I have hearing loss from the war, but it's not that bad. Severe. It's not that bad, and I do have a good memory because of the positions I held.
So when after the initial burst flare out up from her, did those people go in front of the board because they were on the agenda?
Well, they did. They finally did. I do believe, but it wasn't.
But not on the meeting that it was scheduled for.
Yeah, I think it was delayed a week if I remember correctly, And I guess what bothered me was the fact that she had told me something that I could do. And I would have never, being a new person, I just moved here.
Right.
I would have never gone against her because of my inexperience in dealing with this. I would have gone with what she said. But it was the fact that she said that, keep this up, Brian, and D, same question, I will vote down everything that you bring before the board. And that got me.
So, and then you're in a situation, if it was me, it'd be like, okay, from now on, any conversation I have with Susie Drish, I need to have someone else in the room.
Or
that's the way I would feel.
Or written down.
Or sign, but you know, you can have things written down and signed, and I mean that's where we're at now. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But if you have two people in the room with you, maybe that eliminates some of the issues.
I had her on speakerphone. There were other people around when she had called, and it was not a good conversation. It was a conversation in which she hung up on me.
So once this all kind of settled down, the dust settled on that, you get your people hired, you're moving forward. Is every time that you needed to deal with the Board of Supervisors in Jefferson County, Iowa, a potential battle, or were things moving along smooth for you?
Things were not moving along.
They were not.
No, they weren't.
Okay.
Every day was a battle. Every day was a battle.
Over what?
Protocols, policy and procedure, how we were doing things. When we wanted to set up a training session for our guys in September, we were having it at the Friends Church. You know, then there was a big argument about, the separation of church and state. I mean, there was.
Are you serious?
Deadly.
Who brought that up?
DC. That was Susie Drish.
Interesting. The fact of the matter is that, did you have to pay to use that church?
No.
So the church volunteered to let you have their real estate to train on.
And Kathy Giverson was instrumental in that because she goes to church there. And Kathy Giverson was the training officer there in CARE when I was director there. And
so do you think there was a situation where some of the Board of Supervisors just wanted to micromanage, when I used to work in the corporate world, and a boss, in upper management would have to double check and triple check, and then add stuff to a plan that someone in middle management had. We basically said they have to piss on it.
When I was hired as a subject matter expert as a director. I had oversight over hiring people, over some policies specific to the ambulance. I mean, Jefferson County's policy was a blanket policy for all departments, and then some departments such as the Sheriff's Department, law enforcement, and us have specific policies that pertain to us, I did not have full autonomy. By that I mean I did not hire and fire without the blessings of the supervisors and our HR at the time.
And that's understandable because it's your work is county government.
Correct.
You have protocol in place, and you're dealing with taxpayer dollars, and taxpayers want to make sure that
Correct.
funds are spent the way that they should be, and you have to have checks and balances. I totally get that.
Absolutely.
But you also have to have the ability to do your job and move forward.
I really felt as, since that day after Susie and I had gotten to an argument, from then on, it was a fight. Judy and I asked for a credit card.
And what was the time period on this?
I want to say late July, August time frame.
23?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And it was we couldn't get our own credit card because they said, well, you know how kids are, they'll just go out there and blow money. And I'm like, I'm 50 years old. I ran teams in Afghanistan.
And
I'm
the
not
thing
going to be
is, just
responsible.
because you have a credit card doesn't mean you're going to go off and use it without their knowledge that you're going to spend.
Oh no,
money.
absolutely not. For the most part, we ran. We got a Walmart credit card from the auditor's office that had a $300 limit on it, of which we got our supplies on that. Now, mind you, $300 was $300 a month, right? Well, being a new service where you'd had that printers and paper and all this, Judy and I spent our own money on all these things, TVs, office equipment. I can't tell you.
Okay, so you just told me you spent your own money.
Sure did.
Did you figure that was a gift? Were you told to spend your own money and we're going to reimburse you? I mean, why did you spend your own money and cut into your personal finances for something that's a county finance?
I did it because I believed in it. I wanted my crews and my people who worked underneath me to be comfortable, if you will.
In your mind, did you say, oh, I'm sure somewhere down the line they'll see the light and they'll pay me back? Or did you just say this is a donation?
There's some things that we were paid back on. I can't recollect. I would say Judy probably kept up with all that, with the expenditures. There were some things we were reimbursed on. There's no doubt about that. But a lot of the time we did spend toiletries, I'm not going to ask to be reimbursed on that.
Why not?
I didn't think it was that big a deal at the time. And, me being a military guy, I take care of my people. And
do you feel like at that point in time, in looking back now, that you were a little naive on some of that?
Maybe, I guess, in a way, because I felt, being in the position we all had the same vision. We were all on the same team. When you bring an ambulance service to a small county, it's like, wow, we're glad you're here. That's why I moved here and bought a house and didn't rent. I wanted to be here because I believed in it.
Well, let's get out of the weeds
Sure.
a little bit and let's talk about. So now this is July of 2023.
That's correct.
So when does the ambulance service get up and rolling?
October 1st, midnight 01, we officially took over. We had our ambulances. We passed.
You were in the new building?
We were in the new building.
Newly converted
we
building?
we got there actually 3 or 4 days ahead of time, right? Before we opened. So we had to be inspected, too. And we were fully staffed. Judy and I had worked that night when we took over because it was important for us to show the county we're here. So
when you were open, did the local chamber of commerce or the county or anybody have a ribbon cutting ceremony or make a big deal that you're there? Or?
We did. That was later on, I believe in October. We did have a grand opening. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony and the people came out and it was
so
really
things were
nice.
good.
I believe things were,
at least on the surface.
Things were good. There was a lot of second guessing. There was always some friction between the supervisors and myself. A lot of questioning. I would always go to them during board meetings, of which the public can see.
Right.
Anytime on YouTube, during that time, I would always say, "Hey, if y'all have questions, ask me. You can ask me anything." And that's what I'm used to. If you want to come out, it's your ambulance base.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only here as because you hired me to be here and I'm running it. If you have questions for me, if you have comments, if you feel like I'm not doing something right, if there's any kind of questions, please feel free to ask me. Let's resolve it as adults, right? Mm-hmm. Let's not have 3 ambulance director reviews that you put out in the meetings between October and November 2023. Listen, I have 3 employee reviews because you feel like I'm not doing something.
Well, what do you mean?
I didn't have their trust, obviously. I'd get calls from other department heads going, hey, well, being on the agenda, it comes out, a couple of days ahead of time. And I'm on the agenda of, employee review or, I'm not doing something.
So they're actually reviewing you.
Yeah, questioning me about my leadership and all that.
Well, I want to pause just for
Sure.
a sec moment. I want to let anybody that's watching this, names that I've brought up and you've brought up, if they want to come on this podcast, you know how to get a hold of me. It's real easy. And I'm going to tell you how to get a hold of me real easy. Go to the podcast Facebook page, Southeast Iowa Today with John Bain. Send me a message and I will respond and I'll get you on here. So continue, Brian.
Sure. So they were performance reviews. And most of the time, I'd get into these performance review. One in particular, and I can't remember the date.
So and you guys officially were opened October of 2023. And
right.
And where are we at when these reviews start showing up?
This
on the
was
agenda?
shortly right after that.
Okay.
Not like we're under enough stress already, right? And especially feeling when you see a thing come out called performance review and nobody tells you about it, you see it on the agenda, it's like, well, first thing is, what am I not doing? As a grown man, I should not feel like I'm in jeopardy of something, because this thing never existed. I mean, there's no template to this.
And you would think that one of the 3 would give you a courtesy to say, this is what we're going to talk about.
I wish.
Unless they just thought, oh, there's no hope for this guy. He's really screwing everything up. I mean, what was on the reviews? In the public performance review?
There was no script. There was no script. They would ask me a question. For instance, D. Sanquest would ask me starting off, so Brian, how much money is being spent on the kitchen, maybe a stove or something like that, and or something budget-wise, and then Susie Drish would come up and say, so Brian, how's that refrigerator working out for you? And I'm like, there's no script. There's no.
I mean, what did Lee Dimmitt contribute to that?
Lee, for the most part, starting off, I would say he was more of a buffer, if you will. Lee Dimmitt was a real good friend to Judy and I, starting off. He would give us heads up. He actually, and I back up, he actually came by the base every day or every other day just to check it out. I mean, it's his right. And, small town government, first things coming up, by all means, come on out, Lee would always catch a lot of flack from Susie Drish about being out there. And I didn't quite understand that. I thought we were all on one team.
That's interesting. Now, I know that in some of your documents that you have in front of you, you've got letters of recommendation.
Yes.
Do you have that handy?
Yes.
I'd like to put those on the screen.
Sure.
And I want you to read who they are from and what they wrote.
Well, these letters of recommendation came after what had happened to me on April the 17th when I was forced to resign.
Of 2024.
That is correct.
Okay, so I think it's important to put this out here now.
Okay.
And the reason in the progress of this, because you've established that there's a lot of stuff that goes on, a lot of things that, a couple things for sure that are real head scratchers. But a couple of county employees, wrote you letters of recommendation after you, and we'll get into this a little bit
Yes.
later, after you were forced to resign.
That's correct.
Go ahead.
Now, this is from Lee Dimmitt, and
Okay.
it's dated May 23rd, 2024. And it says, "To whom it may concern, I'm writing on behalf of Brian Thomas, former Director of Operations for the Jefferson County Ambulance Service in Fairfield, Iowa. Brian was hired by the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors in April 2023, tasked with I can't read that, and building of the Jefferson County Ambulance Service by October 1st, 2023. Jefferson County had never had a public ambulance service and is literally was literally an insurmountable task, as you may.
Insurmountable task?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Given absolutely no infrastructure in place, including building, accrued supplies, equipment, and ambulances, he was immensely successful in accomplishing the goal. By October 1st, 2023, he had all the staffing and equipment, supplies, buildings in place. Brian brought together all the necessary ingredients to have a successful operation and had permissibly executed. And I apologize, his writing's quite small. So.
Yeah, and it's in cursive, and people are seeing it on the screen right now. Let's go to the next one.
But yeah, I apologize. It's real hard to read. The next one is from Chauncey Molden, Jefferson County attorney.
And this was after you were forced to resign.
That's correct.
Okay.
This is dated May 28, 2024. I write this letter to provide a professional reference and enthusiastic recommendation related to the qualifications of Brian Thomas. I know Mr. Thomas through his work establishing the Jefferson County Ambulance Service in Fairfield, Iowa. For background, the county decided to stop contracting for EMS service and establish a county-run public service, and Mr. Thomas was hired to build up the operations from scratch. Mr. Thomas was able to bring the county service online as scheduled and establish an ambulance which provides reliability, professional, and consistent care to the citizens of Jefferson County. This was no small feat, and Mr. Thomas' ability to spin up a county department from scratch with very tight timelines and no margin for error speaks to his management, organizational, and leadership skills. Furthermore, his qualifications as a paramedic, supported by his background as a thoroughly experienced combat medic, proved to be an asset on the rig itself. Mr. Thomas never hesitated to ride the ambulance as a paramedic, in addition to working full-time in the administrative capacity. Mr. Thomas' skill set and competencies make him uniquely qualified for this type of work. His background in the public and private sectors made the county transition from private to public ambulance service smooth, and the citizens of Jefferson County could rest assured that when they called 911 that help would be on the way. That's right. In addition to his skills and qualifications in ambulance service, Mr. Thomas has a uniquely interesting professional history and background and is a charming storyteller and charismatic leader. If you are looking for a qualified paramedic with the right toolkit to establish a public-run ambulance service, Mr. Thomas is a man that can deliver.
Wow. So Lee Dimmitt, Chauncey Molding both wrote glowing recommendations, but yet they were part of the group that forced you to resign. Why did they write these letters?
I had asked them, it was,
They could have said no if you asked them.
well, yeah, they could have.
I mean,
but-
if you're not, you're insubordinate on whatever level,
right.
why would they write glowing reviews for you so you could then become someone else's problem if you're a problem?
At the time, I wasn't a problem.
Well, they say, somebody says you're a problem. That you
well, now, yeah, of course.
So, but you told me that at the time those were written, they were written after you were put in the position
correct.
to resign. So
That's correct.
I don't understand, and I'm asking those two gentlemen, and they can come on my podcast and tell me, why would you write this man a glowing letter of recommendation when behind the scenes it doesn't feel like you guys thought that way? Why would you what's that doing to your reputation, gentlemen?
Right.
And so,
and whenever I asked him to write me this, Lee, without a doubt, hand wrote it, obviously, in small cursive, and I apologize again for stumbling across that.
That's all right.
Chauncey Molding himself, through email, had no problem, wrote one, and they're fairly close to go within 5 days, right?
Okay, so so October 2023, ambulance service is up and running. By April of 2024, April 17th,
April 17th, 2024, I was called into Chauncey Molding's office at 1:30.
And what happened?
Well, he asked me if I was free after lunch at 1:30, and I have it on text messages that I had provided to you. I showed up. I didn't know what the meeting was about or anything like that. As far as I knew, it was something having to do with the ambulance service.
And it obviously was.
Obviously, yeah. I walked in, and Chauncey met me in the conference room, and there was a fellow there, an investigator, whose name was John Thomas, I found out.
No relation to you.
No, it might be somewhere down the line. And Chauncey, looked upset, not like crying, but he looked distraught. And Chauncey sat down.
Because you're a friend of Chauncey's. You were at that point.
Chauncey and I had a really good working relationship. I mean,
you'd go out and have a beer together.
We sure would. Several times. I mean, I used to harass him about being in the Coast Guard, but we had a good relationship.
So Chauncey was in the Coast Guard?
He was.
Well, Chauncey, if you're listening and watching, thank you, sir, for your service.
Yeah, and that we had that, that military relationship that a lot of people can't understand sometimes. But I really did like him. I mean,
So let's get back to...
So being called into his office and seeing him distraught like that, he sat down and said, "Brian, I'm going to have to recuse myself from this because you and I are friends." And, and this is introduced himself as John Thomas, and John Thomas took over. Chauncey Molding.
And who is John Thomas?
John Thomas he worked for Workforce Solutions. I think he's the owner.
And that's a private organization?
I believe so, yes. Okay. I'm not familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
I know this. He gave me his business card and said, "Now you can record this conversation if you want to." And at that time, I'm kind of in a haze, right? I didn't know what was going on. I said, "No, it's okay." Right now, hindsight being 2020, probably should have.
So, note to anybody watching: if you get in a situation like this, get your own recording going and learn how to use your smartphone to do it. Go ahead, go.
So, John Thomas from the outright said, "Hey, you're going to have two options." He gave me two envelopes and said, "You can do this the easy way or the hard way." And I'm still
So,
confused.
Were the envelopes marked easy and hard, or
They were not. They were two. One was on the left and one was on the right. And
easy was on the left and
I believe so.
hard on the
And he
right?
goes, well,
And you don't get to look at these first.
no, I did not see anything. And he asked me about if I was having an inappropriate relationship with my base manager,
Which was?
Judy Heisel.
Okay.
And I said, what's the word inappropriate? You know, because inappropriate inappropriate to one person is one thing, inappropriate to another is another. We'll describe. Well, you know. No, I don't know. Well, I have evidence, and he would point to a manila folder of you having an inappropriate relationship with Judy Heisel.
Was he insinuating a sexual affair?
That's what I was starting to catch on to that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, absolutely not. No, you know, small town. Yes, we worked together. Professional. She worked for me beforehand. And I was like, no, of course not. And then he was talking about some equipment at the ambulance base, some IV equipment that we had started an IV on one of our own people, right? We take care of our own, you know, an IV bag, $2.50. I'll pay that out of pocket, right?
Was someone sick or something? They dehydrated?
One of our older gentlemen had gotten dehydrated. He was retired and he was working there for us, and so we had given him fluids. There's no you know.
And did that work for him?
Yes, it did.
And if it hadn't, what would have been the next step?
Well, then we probably would have taken him to the hospital and got him some therapy. But we try to handle things in house within reason.
So this John Thomas, that was one of his things that was inappropriate?
I'm assuming so.
Or are you just guessing?
He was throwing a lot of stuff out there, and I have done interrogations before, and I have done interviews, and there's a difference. And this was not an interview, okay? Mind you, Jack Reed, the county HR, was not present at this. He went on, to my recollection, he had went on and said, well, you know, in the very beginning, two of the supervisors really didn't like you and didn't like the way things were going, and they were trying to get rid of you beforehand.
But yet they all agreed 3-0 to hire you.
Correct. And I'm thinking about these performance reviews, right? These three, which are unheard of. And I'm okay. He goes, well, I'm just letting you know, the supervisors voted 2-1 to have you removed. And when did this happen, right?
In order for supervisors to vote to have you removed, that would have had to have been at a Board of Supervisors meeting.
That is correct.
In front of the public, on their YouTube channel, all of that.
That had to be public, because if you think that...
And that never happened.
That never did happen, no.
So the man lied to you.
Yeah, there was a lot of lying going on.
At least, I mean, that was one that, I mean, you knew all of it was lying in your mind. I mean, I'm trying to be impartial here, but as an impartial listener and observer of this, he definitely lied to you when he said the supervisors voted 2-1 to have you ousted.
Oh yeah. Now, mind you, I'm in a haze, kind of, sort of. I'm in shock. Everything was going fine until Chauncey Molding, asked me at 1:30 that day through text message to show up at his office. So I'm totally caught off guard here. Mm-hmm. I was looking at this paperwork they presented, and we'll go over that here in a second. And I was like, I need a minute to take this. No, you have to sign right now. I said, can I have some counsel look at this? No, you have to sign right now. I know you're a combat veteran. You need to do the right thing. if you take the hard way out, myself and the county will drag the new ambulance service through the mud with people and bring people in and investigate them, right? Me being a military guy and being an NCO, I take care of my people. I will
And
take.
for folks that don't know what an NCO is, that's a non-commissioned officer, right?
That is correct. And to me, I take the brunt of everything before my people do. And I did not want, we were such a brand new service. Me having the credentials that I have and doing what I have in life, I thought, hey, I can get a job anywhere. Naturally, my second in charge will take over, and I believe in her 100%, right? I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about the people of Jefferson County, affecting their response times and what I had poured blood, sweat, and tears into, and being a part of this community with buying a house. And I was thinking long term, right? I was denied counsel at the time. I was told I had to sign right then and there. I was threatened that my reputation would be harmed, that they would basically tear me apart. And he said that, I know you're a combat veteran. And this is what got me. I know you're a combat veteran, so when you leave here, don't go kill yourself.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So what did you do?
I signed the agreement.
They signed the easy way.
I went the easy way, and I did ask him. I said, when he stated and he pointed to that manila folder and said, we have all this evidence against you, I want to see the evidence. That was, I guess, the police officer coming out at me, because, show me the evidence. But all of this was just threats. And I didn't know this guy. Chauncey was silent the whole time. He didn't say anything. So yeah, I took the easy way out, and I did. And
now here we are, July 16th, 2025, and it's been anything but easy.
No, it hasn't. Apparently, going through, obviously, as things pass and you think about things, you're like, wait, hold on. It takes you a little bit to get back into sequence. And then you find out there's a whole lot of other things going on and that you weren't aware of. And if I may, find this agreement.
Is this the employment agreement?
This is the agreement that I signed. Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to put that on the screen.
And I won't read everything, but initially, this was April 17th, 2024, Chairperson Sanquest. And mind you, Chairperson D. Sanquest was the only person that was there in Chauncey's office. I did not know this until after we had concluded, because she had come down, because apparently she was upstairs along with Elizabeth Etsy with
County Attorney Office.
Judy Heisel. And I had no idea that she was up there locked away, if you will, because I tried to get a hold of her. And apparently they brought her into the office earlier and coerced her, is what I found out. So, yeah. But basically, in order to get me to sign, he asked the question again about the inappropriate relationship that I had. He goes, now, before you answer, I already know the answer to it. Did you have an inappropriate relationship with your idol? There's nothing inappropriate in the handbook, the county handbook, that I have to know, right? No, I never did. Well, she said yes, right? which turned out to be a lot, right? So I signed something under duress. I wasn't happy. That was the worst day of my life.
And read a little bit of that because we have it on the screen.
Yeah, please. It says, "Please accept this letter as my formal notice of my intent to sever employment relationship between myself and Jefferson County. I accomplished my primary goal when hired to transition the private held ambulance service to Jefferson County to a publicly operated service facilitated by the county. This achievement has not been without its share of frustrations and conflict, and while I have achieved my primary goal, I feel it is in the best interest of the county and myself for the county to hire an EMS director more compatible with their supervision style and expectations. My intent to begin terminal leave will begin immediately, and my last day will be July 12th. And I signed this, and of course, I knew it was crap from the beginning because.
So this John Thomas from Workforce
Solutions
basically put his words down on paper and told you you're going to sign it.
Mm-hmm.
And Chauncey sat there,
didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm. And you would think it's just.
I just remember Chauncey, he kind of had his head down like this, and he'd be shaking his head while this guy was talking. And I couldn't believe it.
So this was April 17th, 2024.
That's correct.
That letter, the easy way letter that you signed, says it affected July. What was the date?
July 12th.
July 12th, 2024. You're done.
Yeah.
So you walk out of there.
Yeah.
What happens?
I tell my people. We went up to one of the, I guess in Peck's, a bar, and had some drinks. I'm not gonna lie, and it took me a couple of days to put my head around it. Right. To me, I was the ambulance. There was no way the hard work that I had put in had just simply come to an end, right? I bought a house, became part of the community. It was then that shortly thereafter, Lee Dimmitt had come up to the office because I was helping Judy. She was being the interim. She goes, and Lee Dimmitt said, "Hey, Brian, you got till 4:30 today to revoke your resignation." I haven't even thought about that, right?
And you didn't go to the meeting on April 24th.
I did not.
The Board of Supervisors meeting, which I have already earlier in this podcast showed some clips from.
Right.
In fact, when Chauncey starts to talk, he's looking around to see if you're in the room.
I know.
So you were not privy unless you happened to be at home watching on YouTube the Board of Supervisors meeting. And why would you be when you were probably in a state of depression?
I was. I do have, I am 100% disabled, with the military. Being in combat, I was in a state of shock, to be honest. And, by the time that I guess him coming in that day and said, "Hey, you have until 4:30 today to revoke your resignation," it's like, it's already like 2:00, right? I'm thinking, oh, crap, these people didn't give me anything to get an attorney to have them look over this paperwork.
But for public record, they did everything they had to do. Because they brought it up in that board meeting. It was public.
Sure was.
But they didn't do any. I mean, that's something to hide behind on their part, because what the public knows or doesn't know, oh well. So public, when you're listening and watching this, you really need to be aware.
So, in this resignation agreement, it has me listed. It says the resignation agreement and release agreement is entered into and between Jefferson County and the employee to Brian Thomas, hereafter employed by the employer as a police officer.
a police officer.
Yes, sir.
And we're looking at that right now on the screen, folks. This whole time this segment that we're on, we've been talking, and this is going to shock you, sir. We've been talking for 58 minutes and 22 seconds, and you have never referred to yourself in Jefferson County as a police officer.
No.
You said you had police officer experience in the military, but that was not your job here. You were an ambulance director, and that's what the focus has been. But on your release, they list you as a police officer.
That is correct. Also in the release was the fact that in return for me signing this, it said, by entering into this agreement, Thomas irrevocably resigns his employment effective 4/17/24 to pursue other employment. That's paragraph 1. Paragraph 2A basically says Thomas' last day of work shall be 4/17, but he will continue to receive pay and benefits through 7/12 of 2024. In return for voluntary, mind you, resignation and agreement to the release and fulfillment terms of the agreement, the employer agrees as follows. This is 3A for the public. The employer will provide the following information if contacted by prospective employers: dates of employment, positions held, and rates of pay. The employer will provide Thomas with a letter of recognition, which I still haven't received, for his accomplishments in facilitating the transportation of the private ambulance service to the county-owned service. And that is pretty much about it. And there's a lot of legal about what I won't do and all this. Now
I got a question for you.
Sure.
So at this point in time, we'll call her second in command.
Correct.
Judy Heisel.
Correct.
Is brought before the board in the county board meeting on April 24th, 2024, exactly a week later in time. And the Board of Supervisors is wanting to make her the interim ambulance director.
Correct.
My question to them and to you is, if you are accused of having an inappropriate relationship with an employee and she was that employee, why, as an employee, she has a responsibility to not have an inappropriate relationship.
Okay.
So in that regard, when they're accusing you of having one, they're also accusing her of having one. You are forced to take the easy or hard way out.
Mm-hmm.
She is promoted, for lack of a better word, into an interim director position.
Right.
Now, on the county, it's in writing in the employment of the county. I'm trying to think of the proper word, but it basically says if employees are having an inappropriate relationship, you will move one of the employees, offer them another position.
Correct.
Well, neither one of you, I mean, she got offered a different position to take your position, but were you offered a position to move somewhere else?
No, sir, I was not.
And we can put that up on the screen here and show that.
And in the Jefferson County Handbook, page number 4, there is no word inappropriate in here. And according to John Thomas, the word inappropriate was in the handbook, and I violated the handbook, and I hear that quite a bit. It refers to romantic relationships, and there was none of that going on. Okay. So, and it's up there for the public to see. And
now let's do full disclosure. Right now, you are in a relationship with Judy.
That's correct. Yes.
At the time that this took place, you were not.
We were not. No.
Okay.
And I would say it's kind of like being overseas with your buddies, and you go through hard times, and you find some commonality, and you learn to lean on each other, right? And it brings people together. So yes, you know, but at the time, no, I wasn't gonna. I moved out here. I bought a home close to the base in order to bring my employees over here to swim and to have cookouts. This was my last, my last get-go for them. But here we are. And my name has been kind of dragged through the mud, if you will, about I can't get a job in this state at all. I've been a paramedic for 30 years, a retired military. I had two degrees from Purdue Global University.
Now, when you say you can't get a job in this state, have you tried?
I have tried. I have reached out. I've gone to places that are 3-4 paramedics deep in needing.
And all the prospective employer has to do is Google Brian Thomas, Fairfield, Iowa, and you get a whole page of controversy. And why would they want to hire controversy?
And I get that.
Yeah, I get it too.
If I Googled somebody and I found out all of this stuff, I'd be like, pass.
Right.
But I guess what gets me is here's the reason. The reason that I resigned, according to them, was for employment purposes, right? There's nothing in there about misuse of county equipment, inappropriate relationships, or failure to supervise. There's nothing like that. And yet, I hear from Chauncey through numerous emails and an IPIB report, and as well as in the paper, as of recent, that Brian Thomas resigned in lieu of investigation. Well, on the Workforce Solutions tab, let me find that.
And while you're looking for that, I'm going to tell the audience, folks, he has done a good job, due diligence-wise, of documenting all of these documents and keeping copies. And that's why we're able to bring this. And it takes a little time to go through this, and but it's interesting is that not even doesn't dare even come close to covering it. So
well,
what do you got there?
I had reached out to the county auditor and was able to get the invoice that John Thomas had charged the county. And interestingly enough, whenever Chauncey says that I resigned in lieu of investigation, that means prior to an investigation. Well, come to find out that the invoice states Jefferson County EMS. I've never heard it called that before, but okay. It has Chauncey Molding at jeffersoncounty.us as the contact, and it gives the address of 1900 West Burlington Avenue, which is the ambulance base, right? I never saw Chauncey work there. Secondly, it says service date is March the 8th, 2024. Well, March the 8th.
A month before.
Well
over a month.
Well over a month, right? And the payment is in the amount of $3,000.
So Chauncey Molding hired these people and spent $3,000 of the county money.
That is correct. I had, and like Tom Dersh had brought it up in that meeting, who has the authority? And if you're investigating a department head, that doesn't it need to be open? It's an HR matter, not a legal matter, correct? So, I got a hold of that. And then I find out, from the Iowa Public Information Board, with things going through there, the county was able to turn over some documents, but when requested over and over again, I have not been able to get that recording from April 17th, 2024. And
So when you were with Chauncey Molding and John Thomas in Chauncey's office, and they advised you to record if you wanted to.
Correct.
John Thomas was recording.
He was recording. He gave me his business card, and he said, "Hey, contact me anytime you want to, and I will send you your recording." Well, through text messages with him, he had promised to send me my recording, and this was back in October, 2024. Yes, that he was going to send it to me, and I told him thank you. He said he was on the road, and I'll get it back to you as soon as possible. Well, I hadn't heard from him 3-4 days later. I asked him again. He told me to get a court order. And mind you, he is a third-party contractor. He doesn't have a dog in this race. And Chauncey Molding, from May until including May of this year, has refused to turn over the recording and claims that it's a client attorney privilege. It's work documents or something. And
you've got emails that
I do.
Back and forth that I've read, and that show that he basically said, "Quit bothering me."
IPIB requested the recording as well and the documents, which you can put up there, I guess. And his response was, Brian Thomas is a disgruntled employee, and with an axe to grind against the county, where you're holding on to these documents for litigation purposes. This is before anything ever took place. I'm not litigating anything.
And you're like, what litigation purpose? So does that mean he was anticipating you would bring a lawsuit against the county?
I think so.
Or was he anticipating the county was going to bring a lawsuit against you?
I think that he was, I guess he was expecting a lawsuit from me. After I hired a Paul Groove HR representative back in June 2024, because I wanted him to look over everything, and you had gone over that.
Yeah.
And he, after learning about, hey, you got veterans preference, you're a combat veteran, you're disabled, civil rights, EEOC, and all that. I'm going, yes, I do. I feel like I got messed over. I have.
It seems like the shaft was used.
Yes, sir. And things that are coming out in the paper now, recently, of course, my veterans case got dismissed. I'm having to represent myself. I don't have the funds to hire an attorney.
Okay, now I told you this before on the telephone. Yes. I mean, what's the old adage, the old saying? The client, or how's that go? The man who the client
represents himself has a client as a fool.
Yes.
And you.
So why are you doing that?
I believe in what is right. I'm not an attorney. I'm not, skilled with all the laws. I'm doing the best that I can.
Did you reach out to an attorney at all?
I have reached out to numerous attorneys. Either there's a conflict of interest, such as they have represented with Jefferson County beforehand, and they want to keep them as a client. I've reached to people out of state. I've reached to some specific people who have are attorneys with some veteran experience, and they of course want money up front. I'm used to a certain amount of lifestyle, and to be comfortable and not be scratching, if you will. Having 50% of your income cut back. Well, most of my income goes to my house and the bills to maintain that. I don't have the money to put out front for it. I wish one could do, pro bono and, maybe get paid at the end, because I believe in what I'm right. I may have not filed things appropriately, but hey, I'm doing the best I can. And, the county's coming after me for a breach of contract, claiming I was misuse of county equipment, fraternization with employees.
So does the county now have a lawsuit against you?
They do. Chauncey, after I filed my veterans preference back in late April,
Of this year?
Up this year, yes, sir. He filed a demand letter saying that I broke or I breached the contract, which, mind you, I had filed the civil rights thing and the EEOC and the IPIB all within August of 2024.
Within 4 months.
Yeah, within 4 months. He never complained about that. He never complained about the 2 suits that I have with the EEOC and
Do you think it's
rights.
because you might be getting some traction here?
Maybe so. Maybe the representation at the time coming out against him, he sends me a demand letter and says that, I breached contract because you filed all these suits, but he waits until the veterans thing. He doesn't date the demand letter.
And we're going to put that up on the screen right now. Hold it up so people see that we actually have that here. And we will actually put it on the screen as well so they can see the document.
Oh, here it is.
And let's just point out that there is no date on that.
Yes. And there's no date on this.
Turn it towards me there. Right there it is, folks. Usually on a business letter or an official letter, there's a date right at the top before it says Mr. Thomas. Okay, so.
Okay. And the letter is intended to firmly address the material breach of your resignation of employment and release agreement executed on April 17, 2024, which you voluntarily entered into as part of your separation from your position as ambulance director. Under the terms of the agreement, you agreed to resign your employment in lieu of investigation, effective April 17, 2024. In exchange, Jefferson County agreed to provide you with continued salary, health insurance, and benefits through July 12th. A severance package calculated to be at $26,450.61. This agreement further includes a comprehensive release and discharge clause whereby you never mind, I can't pronounce that. Release the county from any and all claims, demands, and causes of action related to your hiring, employment, and separation. Jefferson County honored this obligation in full, providing you with the salary and payments and health insurance as agreed. However, your subsequent action constituted a direct bad faith violation of the agreement and reputation of your legal obligation, of which he names the Iowa Civil Rights Commission, EEOC, and the writ that I had filed. So these filings are in direct contraindication of your express commitment to the agreement, and as such, you have materially breached the terms. And he said if I didn't respond by May 23rd, he was going to file a suit against me, and he did that.
So you obviously did not respond if he's filed a suit.
Well, we are currently in court over that, and I am representing myself. And
what does the current county board of supervisors, have you gotten an idea of their thoughts on this? Because now Dee is no longer on the board of supervisors, and Joe Ledger is.
That's correct.
And Susie Drish still is. and Lee Dimmitt still.
I have sent them emails requesting, Chauncey Molding in the latest paper that was dated yesterday said that I have an axe to grind against the county, and this is a frivolous lawsuit and all this. And I'm like,
hold that paper up so people can just see that.
let's
That was in
see.
the Fairfield Ledger.
Let's see, and that was yesterday's, and that was going to be on
the bottom fold of the front
5.
page, right?
Yeah,
Turn that
that's
around so we can see it.
That's the initial.
Yeah.
That's where they canceled it, and then as you can see on here, Chauncey Molding states the following: that I have an axe to grind, I'm a disgruntled employee, and all I want to do is drag Jefferson County through the mud.
Wow.
I guess reading something like that, especially with all that we have been through, and me coming here because I had the chance to go to PA school, and I elected to come here and
What is PA school?
Physician's assistant. Because after retiring from the military, I wanted to help people, make a difference in their lives, because there's some things you can't put money on, and when you're comfortable in your life, all you want to do is make somebody else's life better, and that's what I want to do. I still want to do that, but I'll tell you that going through all this, it takes a lot out of you.
I bet so.
It does.
And how do you make yourself whole again?
I guess get some finalization through all this. I don't know if I had shown you, but
I want to also ask: did you actually receive the $26,000 in salary and also the insurance?
It's kind of funny that you bring up that number, because between the number that he had filed in the demand letter and the number that he filed with the court is they're different numbers.
Well, what are the two different numbers?
Their only difference is between like $200 and $300, but it goes back with the whole police officer thing.
Things are sloppy.
It's a failure of doing your work. It just seems like everything was rushed, right? The whole secret meeting, the whole we're not going to release it. Oh, you resigned in lieu of investigation, when clearly there was something else going on. And dragging my name, Googling me. I have never been in a position where I can't get a job, ever. And I tell you what, as a 52-year-old man, it's disheartening. Okay? My first job that I applied to back in June. Now, this is before I'm still employed, with Jefferson County, but
you're not working.
Not working, advising Judy, but even I'm having a hard time advising her on things, because every board meeting she's getting asked, what is Brian doing up there at the ambulance base to help out, right?
Because technically you're still an employee.
Yes, sir. But, Lee Dimmitt, again, he wrote me that recommendation letter, and I applied for a traveling position in Texas, and as a letter of reference, I get this back.
Employee reference check. Okay. And what is the significance of that? April 17th, first company. Eligible for rehire? What's it say?
It says, this is a reference to Lee Dimmitt. It is through Sign Easy, which goes directly to their phone. And Lee Dimmitt replies, eligible for rehire? No, obviously. And then comments, inappropriate relationship with subordinate. I believe that breaks the county's contract, right?
Well, it's amazing you have a letter of recommendation dated
May
in
23rd.
of 2024, less than a month or about a month when you were let go, or you're forced to take the easy way.
Yeah, I get this.
And then you get that. So what do you think the county's goal with you and this whole process is? That you would just sell your house and get the hell out of Dodge
Well,
/ Fairfield?
that was that seems to be the intent. Judy would be constantly asked, "Hey, what's Brian doing? Is Brian moving? Where's he going?"
She's being asked
by Susie Drish.
Okay.
Chauncey Molding and I had a beer, I guess, about a week or so later, believe that or not, back in April. And he was like, "Hey, Brian, they got jobs in DC. You can go work there. You can be a consultant. You can make killer money, the whole bit." And I'm like, I moved here and put roots down. I bought a house. It's not like I'm renting. I have an apartment. I just can't get up and leave, I've never been in a position like this. And all I wanted to do was just come here.
Well, I say most of the time in your life you were in foreign land serving our country.
You would think, when you move to Middle America, you expect one thing and you get another, and then you find out, well, through different notes and things like that you get back from the IPIB about people going around stalking you. And
what is IPIB?
IPIB's the Iowa Public Information Board.
Okay.
And the county was forced to release some documents on me, and mind you, not everything.
Well, let's share what you got there.
And I guess what's scary is I was in counterintelligence, with the military, and I'm used to tracking people and
but not necessarily being tracked.
There's probably nothing I hate more than that. I mean, it makes me feel, so especially now that I'm not doing it anymore. So, part of their thing was, and you put this up there on the board. This is dated September 1st, 2023. Mind you, we're not even open yet.
Yeah.
Okay. D, this is Susie Drish, and this is D. Sanquest. D, this is Susie. Call me whenever you can. I'll pay your bill. I'll answer the phone, and I'm sorry I'm bothering you. Basically, Brian has put on the agenda, and all the other people hire for money for Tuesday, and we haven't even had a chance to talk to him about the overtime, right? Same date. Judy says only 7 folks will be getting overtime. The rest are not. But how did they pick who? And who says they can't change? I would say we may start without, but the goal would be to hire a few more. We'll talk later. The September 3rd, 2023 at 9:17 a.m. is apparently blocked out for attorney-client privilege.
Okay.
Now, mind you, this is a little bit, but let's see, throw my spectacles here. This is from Susie Drish, and I can't see the day. I think this is September 4th. I've been sitting here for about an hour and a half. Nothing is happening. Lee has come and gone several times, but he was for sure here when KTVO showed up. This could have been done in a day. And they were referring to our training classes that we had for 2 days at the church.
And KTVO was just there to cover the fact that you're doing training?
Yes.
Which is a good thing. Public relations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's important to let the public know what's going on.
Yeah,
It's called
that you're actually doing something on their behalf.
transparency, and I want to be a part of something good. So yes. So the next one is, yes, I will say this group is not as professional and does not really listen to any of us. Hope you are having a nice day.
And that was Susie to
D. Sanquest. Brian left here an hour ago, just returned.
So Susie's sitting in her car out front of the ambulance building?
I guess so.
Wow.
I had no idea. Mind you, when I got this, I was troubled, to say the least. So the next one is dated in, I believe, March, and it has a picture of me, of my truck. I'm over at Judy's house. I believe I was picking her up. Looks like Brian is at Judy's house, 10:23 a.m. Brian and Judy both left Judy's house 10:37 a.m. 10:48, Brian dumping trash at work. Judy not here. Judy at work by 11:30. Brian gone by 1:30. It is 9:21 and Brian's car, truck, has not been here at work. No, I was, It is 9:33 on Friday morning. I just drove by East Madison on my way to Hy-Vee, and Brian and Judy are home. It's not home. I was just probably visiting. Brian's car's truck is at Judy's house. Just wanted you to know.
Okay, so I've got to ask, in your recollection on those days and those events, what was going on?
Well, with the training going on, we were probably putting our budget together and putting schedules together. Mind you, when you're at work 16 hours a day, and at that time, we didn't have an ambulance base, right? We were in the courthouse. Well, the courthouse closes at 4:30. And yes, we could stay there late. They give us keys, but there's sometimes you just don't want to be locked down in the basement,
Yeah.
Yeah. And you, because there's not, it's in the basement and it's creepy and it's.
You're kind of in a dungeon, is what.
But yeah. So getting something like that makes you very leery, okay? And then you end up with D. Sanquest notes, and you find out that John Thomas has an email on her notes, and she's tracking about where I'm at and if I'm sick, and he's not at work, and I'm 52 years old. I'm doing my job. We are in the 95th percentile of our response times. We are fully staffed. What's the problem? Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff you find out is blocked out because of attorney-client privilege, and I don't know why.
So when is your next day in court?
Right now, I put in for a dismissal for the breach of contract, and I gave some evidence. I also filed an answer to his breach of contract with the counterclaim, and to meet the small claims court's amount is $75,000, and I have set out to prove that county breached their contract long before I ever did. So I don't know
So I'm guessing that a lot of the things that you've shared with us today, you use in your court appearance.
There are some things, yes. I can back up everything that I say and show you. My whole thing with this is to bring to light what's been happening. I never lived in a small town. I kind of referred to this place as Mayberry. And when I moved here, it's real easy when you feel shunned, if you will, and you hear your neighbors talking about you out front, right? Makes you feel not quite at home, And the fact is, I love my house. I love being here, and I got friends here now, And I love the fact of people coming over and that sense of community and people we've worked with. Not my idea of where I wanted to end up.
I got a question. I mean,
Sure.
I'm hearing all this. I'm hearing how you're representing yourself. I hear how basically you got the weight of the county on you,
Yes.
coming at you. That locomotive. Is this something that, like the Iowa Bureau of Investigations or the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department or anybody in a law enforcement type of agency can help you with? Or since it's not crime related, are they out of it? And since it's a civil situation?
I don't know. I've reached out to several agencies. I've reached out to the Veterans Affairs Office about representing me because I am, disabled vet. They can't provide me any assistance. Pretty much, they're saying, the free legal services, and of course, you got to fill out paperwork, and I got ongoing litigation now, and it's real hard to find an attorney that doesn't have a conflict of interest, right? Would it be easier? Yeah, it would take a lot off my plate. I gotta maintain the house, and
what's a daily routine for you, Brian?
trying to stay motivated, I guess. Whenever you come to a place and you're used to working all the time. I'm not a lazy man by any means. That's not my character. My character is to be productive and be a part. And when you get time and time again that you get denied opportunities that you are clearly qualified for, it sucks a lot of your motivation away. And now my motivation is pretty much trying to win this, trying to prove a point. And, it's not, you got the paperwork for it. I got the thing saying, hey, things are done wrong here. Here's the evidence. I mean, is this normal? I mean,
Jeff, I just definitely look at Susie in a new light. I mean, I never expected her to be a private investigator.
I mean, come on, I mean, who does this? I mean, this is stuff that, you see on like Hardy Boys or something. Yeah. But no, I mean, really, I'm not from here. I moved here for a reason. And I get this. I get 10 pages of D. Sanquest notes handwritten about Brian's not at work. I'm sorry. I didn't know there were specific times. I mean, if you're supervisors, how come, D. Sanquest misses, 45 to 50% of her stuff?
And you were a salaried employee.
That's correct. I was.
Now, the difference between a salaried employee and an hourly employee, on paper, makes it look like the salaried employee is making more money than an hourly employee. But then things come in like overtime and such for an hourly employee, and they get paid time and a half or double time on a holiday or whatever. But you, Mr. Salaried Employee, get paid the same whether you work 12 hours a day or 5 hours a day or 8 hours
You're right.
a day.
And you would think, okay, being a salary person, I don't put my hours down, okay? I don't even put my sick time down because to me it's kind of, if I'm working 80 plus hours a week and people can go back and look at this, Susie Drish would always say, how much time are you and Judy riding the truck? Well, really? We're filling in all the time. I mean, sometimes we're working, not only are we doing our admin stuff during the day, but we're riding the truck at nighttime too. I mean, in order to keep, appease the county and keep overtime down. And then it's like, all of a sudden now I'm the worst person on the planet. Well, I mean, in this county, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And
If you could give the current Jefferson County ambulance director a bit of advice for longevity in that chair, what would you say to him?
to be frank and honest,
Yes, that's what I'm asking.
cover your ass. CYA. And I mean that. Whatever direction or ever how you feel you may be comfortable with one of them, you're not. Okay. We went through a lot of hard times with these supervisors, and I'll tell you what, I felt more comfortable in Afghanistan, Tora Bora, with the Taliban sometimes. And I'm not relating, but I'm just saying, when I knew where I stood overseas, okay? I knew who had my back, okay? Here, I came here for a reason. I was introduced as Savior of Jefferson County per Susie Drish at that board meeting that I was at. And it's like, wow, Susie Drish, Brian, the Savior of whatever. Oh my gosh, you're over at Judy's house. I'm sorry, I didn't know anybody in this town. Judy used to work for me years ago when I was director for care. She has a good work ethic, and she's organized, and she was instrumental in all this. My friends, that worked for me, we all hung out together. I mean, it's like ain't nothing else to do around here, and I'm outsider. I didn't know it was a crime to be at somebody's house. I'm an adult. I have been through hell and high water in my life, and I didn't. Being over somebody's house is a crime. I know that we can all assume, right? We can all assume, oh my gosh, somebody's over at somebody else's house. Really? Get your mind out the gutter and think of these people as professional, because there are professional people out here that actually care for something other than themselves. And I care for this community. I still do, as much as it bothers me right now, because it's hard. I mean, getting up every day and trying to stay motivated, stressing about bills and how to pay them. It's not easy. I'm not that kind of man, and I just want my story out there. I want to be, what is right is right.
Well, Brian, you reached out to me.
Yes, sir.
Less than maybe a week ago, maybe a week.
Yeah, we talked for 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I told you I would share your story, and that's what I'm doing.
No, and you know what? I appreciate it. I always told when we moved out here, and there's not a lot of press. Okay,
Right.
You get the paper, and whether he's fair or not, that's up to the beholder, right? Mm-hmm. But whenever you're in a bigger city, you have 4 or 5 radio stations and investigative reporters and all that. Here, word of mouth.
Yeah.
Right? whether good or bad.
And the guy with a podcast.
Thank God for you, and I hope and pray that somebody out there, and we're gonna get out, and be nice to have some help. I mean,
well, I've got a pretty good following, and it's amazing when I see analytics on my podcast of
Right.
where people watch, not just in towns in Iowa,
Right.
but across the United States and in the different countries too.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people from a lot of different locations will see this, and
right.
they've got some suggestions. They can reach out to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can connect the two of you
Sure.
together that way. And so.
No, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I look at this stuff day in and day out, and it gets old. But I believe in fighting always for what is right. And it's obvious. I would not. Yes, I may be a fool to represent myself. So I guess I'll be the fool because I believe that much in what I'm doing. So I've always done that my whole life, is fight against what needs to be done. Right?
There you go. Well, we're just shy of an hour and 45 minutes of podcast excellence.
Yes, sir.
And I thank you for being so open with me and with the audience. And good luck to you, sir.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I told you it was going to be a long one. Did Brian Thomas accomplish his goal? Please leave your comments, your thoughts on this whole story that I brought you today in the comments below, and make sure to give this episode a like, follow, and subscribe. It's free. The more likes, the more followers, the more you share, the more successful the podcast becomes, and the more I'm able to bring you reports like this and other things in Southeast Iowa that do not have such a pressure and questions and everything else. There's a lot of good things going on in Southeast Iowa, and I do thank Brian Thomas for reaching out to me and wanting to come on the podcast and sharing his story. It's important, and like I said, I hope that you folks will leave comments, you will share this, and we'll see where it goes from here. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming LLC, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.